Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Phil Switch. I am Phil Carute, and I'm joined by my fearless co-host, Brock Tamarino. The Phil Switch podcast is brought to you by Sal's Tire Caps. Sal's Tire Caps. Roses are red, violets are crap. Go out and buy some Sal's Tire Caps. Brock, another week. I was on a vacation a couple weeks ago now, and we finished up that new Disney Plus series, Ahsoka. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah. I heard of that. What did you think of it?
Uh, what I'm hoping for is in all these Star Wars series they're doing. I'm really hoping that they, because they're doing a series, it seems like about every character possible. And I'm really interested in hearing the backstory of the bartender at that one bar in Tatooine or whatever. I think that's where they went. If they could get that backstory squared away and make maybe 3 or 4 seasons worth of that character, I think that would really add something to the Star Wars series that they have going on.
Yeah, they seem to be going a little bit overboard. But I guess people are gonna watch it and buy it. So it makes sense, I guess, for Disney to keep pushing them out like that.
Sure. Oh, hey, and look at that. We have a caller. So I mentioned Star Wars or Disney, and we get people riled up here. So caller, go ahead.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Hey, Daryl. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I heard you guys talk about that Star Wars series, Ahsoka. I was watching that myself, and I tell you, she's pretty good for a girl Jedi.
Daryl, actually, I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore.
Say what, Jedi? Oh, I mean, I like Star Wars, but I mean, I think you can still say Jedi. It's, make believe.
No, I mean, I don't think you can say like somebody like is good for being for a girl.
Oh, is Ahsoka a trans Jedi?
No, I don't think he's. I don't think it's that Ahsoka might be a trans Jedi. I think what Brock is saying is that you can't say like, oh, that person's good at this thing for a girl.
All right. Anyway, she's pretty good girl Jedi. And, I was thinking it'd be kind of funny. I was watching that series. I thought to myself, what I ought to do is I ought to ask Ahsoka, if she was real life, of course, I ought to ask her out on a date. And then when we go on a date, we go out for dinner or whatever like that, and I'm brushing her big ears out of her face or whatever. And I ask her, I'll say, hey, you wanna go back to my place, watch a movie? And catch this guy. She says, yeah, I'll go back there. I make sure she don't have her lightsabers, of course. And we go back to my place. I put on a movie. Guess what it is, guys? Take a guess.
I don't know, a Star Wars movie she wasn't in.
No, no, that'd be funny too. But no, I put on. Check this out, guys. I put on Star Trek. I put on Star Trek and make her watch that with me.
Yeah, but if she because Star Wars and Star Trek have like a unsaid battle or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, hey, look at their weird looking creatures or people or species there. I make her watch Star Trek then.
All right. Hey, Daryl. So you watched the Ahsoka series. What did you think?
I gotta be honest, guys. I'm not like a Star Wars nerd or nothing. I mean, I've seen the movies and some of the series. But so one thing I don't get, they got me the whole way there. I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, right? And I'm seeing everything that's happening. I'm getting kind of excited. I'm like, wow, this is gonna be something real cool. And then what happens is, as I'm watching it, right, they decide they have to go to this other planet. I wasn't paying a lot of attention. They have to go to this other planet, and they got to get there real quick. Right, because I think one of their friends are there or something. He's like lost, and he's like, "Oh, we need to get this guy." And they're like, "He's going to be, I don't know, he's some kind of type of key or something." I'm not sure what's going on. Wasn't paying a lot of attention, just kind of watching it. And so anyway, Ahsoka and this robot thing she's got, this cyborg guy or whatever, this drone thing, they decide that the best way to get there, okay, listen to this, there's these whales, right? There's these whales that apparently they can fly. Now, they look like they're swimming, but apparently they're flying in the air, which is really weird, because then I started, well, to be honest, after I saw that, I ended up having a nightmare that night that I was flying in a plane and whales attacked me in the air, which I don't fly. I don't fly none, and to be honest, I ain't never seen a whale in the air, so I don't know what I was afraid of. But then I remembered when I woke up, I was like, oh, well, that's weird. And I was like, oh, yeah, it was in that Ahsoka thing. Anyway, so these whales fly in the air, and Ahsoka decides she's going to put her ship, right? She's going to put her ship in this big whale's mouth. He was like the king whale. And so she put her ship in his mouth, which is kind of, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go in a whale's mouth, it ain't a great chance you're coming out, right? So anyway, she parks her ship in this whale's mouth, and they're waiting, and all of a sudden, they say, oh, these whales are going to use hyperdrive, which confused me because I thought, and I'll be honest with you guys, I've, I graduated high school, but didn't graduate top of my class, if you know what I mean. And I always thought that hyperdrive was something like technology based. I didn't know it was like natural. I didn't know you could like do it naturally, which made me think like, well, the solar panels, if someone got solar panels, right? Are those made from nature?
No, if you're asking, no, they have to use various materials which are manufactured to make the solar panels. That you can't. Solar panels aren't like naturally occurring.
Yeah, see, that's what I don't get about this hyperdrive thing. Because the hyperdrive I thought was technology based, but now the whales can go into hyperdrive, and so I'm confused. I'm watching, I'm thinking, whales can go into hyperdrive? And they're flying whales. So now I'm like really confused because like they're out of water, they can fly, they eat a spaceship, but they don't eat it, and then they can use hyperdrive. So I'm sitting here wondering how they go use hyperdrive. So then there's some command from this king whale or something for them to all go into hyperdrive, and there's tons of these whales now just out of nowheres. And all of a sudden, they go into hyperdrive, and catch this, guys, to go into hyperdrive, their butts light up. So basically, these whales are using hyperdrive from their butts. Now I'm thinking to myself, I had a buddy one time in high school, his name was George, and he had real bad gas. And I thought, well, I suppose maybe if the timing was just right, George could have went to hyperdrive. And then I thought, well, that ain't possible. But then I thought, well, maybe it is. And then I thought, well, if he could have done that, he probably would have. And then I thought, but maybe he wouldn't have known he could. And then I thought, well, if he could have done it, then he had to have known he could. But then again, maybe he knew he could, but somebody told him not to. Like if you're a superhero and you're not supposed to abuse your power. So maybe that's what George was doing. He wasn't abusing his hyperdrive power through his farts. But anyway, these whales used hyperdrive from their butts. So their butts lit up, and it was like blue lights. So their butts lit up blue, and then they went real fast, I think, into hyperspace. They used hyperdrive to go into hyperspace. And before you know it, Ahsoka and her spaceship and her drone friend thing, they're there on this other planet, and there's a bunch of other people there and stuff like that, and they got stormtrooper things here, and they got like red tape on them, and I thought the red tape looked kind of weird. It's like, well, where'd they get the red tape at? We never heard about tape in Star Wars. I don't know that I ever saw tape used in Star Wars. Like, oh, hey, I got to hang up this picture of Anakin, so I can remember him before he's Darth Vader. Somebody's like, oh, hey, I got some Scotch tape here. So I never heard of tape in Star Wars, but somehow these stormtroopers all got red tape, and it looks like they tried to bandage up their uniforms, but then it didn't look like their uniforms were really cracked or anything. So I don't know why they put the tape on it, just kind of distracting. But anyway, they kind of lost me when the whale's butts lit up. What did you think, Phil? I to be honest, I watched it, but I couldn't really get into the series. But yeah, I thought it was weird that the whales, I had the same question, Daryl, oddly enough, that the whales were able to use hyperdrive. And I did think it was kind of humorous that they used hyperdrive by having their butts light up. I made some jokes with my kids about that. Yeah, that's where they lost me at. So anyway, I guess if I were in Star Wars world, I'd try to get a date with Ahsoka. And if she likes Star Trek, if that joke went over well, like I said, hey, no lightsabers on this date. Ain't gonna be no need for that. Just in case she didn't think the Star Trek thing was funny. I don't want to get split in half. But if everything went well on that first date, I think I'd tell her, I'd say, hey, them space whale things? You think maybe you and I could get in one of them and go into hyperdrive? I would just like to see how it feels, And I'd like to know, like, if you can go into hyperdrive in a spaceship, right? Does it feel different when you go into hyperdrive in a whale? You know what I'm saying? Like if you get if you get something made of genuine leather and you feel that, and it's like, oh, that feels pretty nice. But then you get something made of fake leather and it's like, oh, that feels nice, but I can tell it's not leather. Like, is it better to go into hyperdrive in a whale, or is it better to go into hyperdrive in a spaceship? Just questions I have sometimes when I'm watching these things. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on the Star Wars Ahsoka thing. So I wish you guys all the best, and thanks for having me on. Let me speak my piece.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. Appreciate you coming on for that intellectual conversation about Star Wars and space whales' butts lighting up. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so, all right. Daryl called in, talked to us about space whales and Ahsoka. Maybe we'll be going on a hypothetical date with Ahsoka to see if she finds Star Trek a humorous little twist in the date. Well, I think it's about time to wrap it up, Brock. As always, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of The Phil Switch. If you guys want to catch me on the 1st and 15th podcast with Cap over at Capowitz Media, that airs every 1st and 15th. If you guys would like to contact us here at The Phil Switch, you can do so through email. That's thephilswitch@gmail.com. Again, that's thephilswitch@gmail.com. We wish you all a great week, and we'll talk to you soon here at The Phil Switch.